And we're live. Hello, Facebook. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Yes, happy Monday evening, everyone.
Happy Monday. So, Facebook changed how we do group posting again. How lovely.
Yay!
I want to thank them so much for that words can't describe how happy it makes
Just
me.
give them your money and your information.
All right, exactly. All right, I'm just sharing to a few more places. I'm only going to the, sites that are actually, we get people
Excellent.
off of. So, yeah. So.
Hope everybody had a good weekend.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I hope everybody did too. It was warmer. That's for sure. It was definitely warmer.
As my son would say when he was a baby, is hot.
Yeah, it was definitely a warmer day. So it was a warmer weekend, and I've got an interesting one coming up. We'll talk about it when we get the show started. So, all right, we've got a lot to go over tonight, though. We've got some stuff happening. All right, I think we're ready, right? You're up. You're loaded. I'm loaded.
Good.
Doc looks good. Got a combat. I feel like there's something else we're missing in main 2. Universes Beyond, historic brawl changes. I'm sure it'll come up. We'll worry about it later. All right. I've got a beer, which is the most important part. All right. I think we're ready. So if you want to put yourself over your red button.
I almost forgot what it looked like. It'd been so long.
Wow.
It's been 84 years.
Something like that. Switch over here so I'm a little bit more centered. Because I'm looking at the shot. I'm making sure our shot looks appropriate. Okay. All right. I'm over the red button. I'm over my soundboard. I think we're ready.
All right.
All right. So let's do this. Red button. 3, 2, 1. Click.
Click.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the PlanesTalkers podcast, the show by casuals for casuals. I'm your host, Will Benson, joined as always by my, no, seriously, I don't mean for my face to melt this heat, co-host Aramis Perez. Aramis, sir, how are you doing tonight?
Hotter than the hub of the Hades today.
It is, oh my gosh, I'm just dying here. I'm wearing the hat to keep the sweat from coming into my eyes. So before we do anything during our untap upkeep draw phase, we want to remind you guys that this episode and every episode of the PlanesTalkers podcast is sponsored by Kerwin's Game Store. Kerwin's Game Store is New York State's premier source for collectible card games, tabletop games, miniatures, comic books, retro video games, and toys. With their clean, open gaming areas available to everyone at no charge on June 28th. Kerwin's provides a fun and inviting atmosphere for new and experienced gamers alike. With locations in both Catskill, New York, and now at the Poughkeepsie Gallery in Poughkeepsie, New York, Kerwin's Game Store wants to remind you that they are 100% the best place in gaming. Now, they have a very nice, streamlined website. Find them at kgsonline.com. That's KiteGoSamuelOnline.com. And you can go there and using the promo code PlanesTalkers, get 5% off your online order when you use it. And we like you to use it because then it tells them you actually listen to the show. And if you go to Kerwin's, make sure you tell them that you listen to the show. We also want to take a second to recognize our Planeswalker, and I guess we have to say Planeswalker and up patrons now?
Must be.
Yeah. So we're going to recognize our Planeswalker patrons: David, Jonathan, Johnny, Bell, Anthony, Steve, George, Josh, Spencer, Chiba Tank, Major Fallon, Nurse Gamer VJ, and our newest Planeswalker level patron. And I've waited a week to be able to say this. Our latest patron, Dragon D's Nuts. I get to say that every week. We have Dragon D's Nuts is our newest patron. And
entirely too much fun with that.
Oh, how do you not? It's Dragon D's Nuts. I mean,
no, it's awesome. I love it. I love it.
You gotta have fun with that. I mean, I'm just glad I told him, I'm like, dude, even if you cancel after this month, at least I got to do it 1 week. And I also want to recognize our brand new level, thanks to Ian, somebody else actually signed up. We have our foil Planeswalker level patrons. These people send $10 a month, and that's obviously Ian, who started this whole thing, and our newest patron, Planestopper, and I do believe that's Jamie Dixon. So he's been with us from jump, like not as a patron, but he's definitely been a listener from day one. So Jamie, we're glad you're here, Planestopper. These people, guys, I can't say it enough. We couldn't do this show without them. We get to do so many other things, and we're finding new and interesting ways to improve the show. So we want to thank you guys very much for being a part of that. The biggest perk you guys get, I shouldn't say guys, I realize that now, but the biggest perk people can get is, and we've already got, as far as I know, one slot taken by a patron. Patrons get first stab at our Wednesday Commander Craft broadcast, which we want to remind you of. It's our Wednesday show where we play listeners like you using webcams and 4-person Commander. So you get, as a patron, any level patron, you get first dibs at the seats. I posted Monday inside our Discord channel on Patreon, or our Patreon channel on Discord, I'm sorry. And then tomorrow I'll post it in the main chat that we need one more. Right now, Ian signed up. So Ian's going to be playing with us on Wednesday, as well as you and I. I think you're our champion, are you not?
I am. Firesong and Sunspeaker are going to be bringing it back next week.
I hate you so much. And, well, at least it's not Sakama. So,
yes.
Patreon updated. Oh. Am I doing a new Patreon now?
Uh-oh.
Oh. Roro Reggie. And now Johnny is now a $10 level patron.
Oh, God,
Johnny, we love you. Thank you, man. Thank you guys again. We never intended to have that level. Like, in fact,
I guess we should call it like the emblem level. Since
it's something
higher than
we gotta come up with that, because we're gonna have to come up with something like again, if you want Aramis's personal phone number to invite him out on dates, I think we can make this happen. So,
listen, I don't put out unless you pay for dinner, at least.
Listen, for $10 a month, they're paying for my dinner. I mean, granted, no. So, but that's thank you again, Johnny. We just can't thank you enough, you son of a gun. So, again, Wednesday night Commander Craft. We do have a seat open. Here's how this is going to work. I'm always going to have at least, obviously, 4 if we can. But I will take a 5th person, with the understanding that they're the game 2 if we play one. This past week, we only played one game because, oh my God, did that go forever. But Aramis, let's go into upkeep. And how the hell are you, sir? It's been a hot minute.
You know what? We're good. Had a very interesting weekend. We went, did some stuff outside, tried not to melt. Mostly succeeded. I mean, we were in Kingston over the weekend, I think on Sunday.
Kingston, Ontario, or Kingston, New York?
Kingston, New York.
I was like, you got to Canada? Oh, wait. During Untap, I'm sorry. All out double IPA from Druthers. All right, moving on.
All right. Anyway, yeah, it got to about like 98.
Ooh, so yeah. It was really warm.
It was toasty.
Yeah, we for the second week in a row, and it turns out now the second of 3 weeks in a row, we went to my sister's again to hang out with her and the kids and help get the trail, their house ready for my dad's coming in. He arrives there like either tomorrow or Wednesday. He's going to stay there for a few days, spend some time with the grandkids, and then he's going to come out here next week, which is why, alert, we will not have a show next Monday. We will have a show. Let me see if Bama got back to me yet. We will have a show next Thursday, but it's going to be it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to actually do a simulcast with one of our listeners. He played in our tournament, Bama Shocks. He has a podcast he does where he just talks about all sorts of geek stuff, and he's invited Aramis and I on there. So I'm like, listen, we don't have a show next week, so episode 103 is actually going to be recorded next Thursday, and it's going to be kind of like, we don't know how it's going to work. It may come off horribly, but at least
anyway.
Yes. So we will have a show next Thursday. So it's going to be a weird week, but I'm just excited. My old man's coming home. I ain't seen last year, he tries to come home once a year, but last year, obviously with COVID, he's not traveling from Arizona. So I haven't seen my father since my wedding. So I'm very excited to see him. I've got my guitar tuned, and we're going to spend all weekend playing a little music. We have my uncle's. You may remember last year my uncle passed away from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we're finally getting around to doing his memorial. So, and I've actually been asked to do the memorial. Like I used to, be training to be a pastor, and I actually did my grandmother's. And my cousin Bob was like, "Yeah, you knew my dad. You know him. You can speak to him." So I'm honored, and it's very bittersweet. Not something I necessarily enjoy doing, but I hope I do him justice. But yeah, let me suck the air and emotion right out of the show. Talk about my, But yeah, I'm very excited. What are you guys up to? You got anything going on this weekend?
This weekend, I'm trying to remember. What I know what I'm going to be doing. I don't think I'll be able to make any, like, if Flights 2 had an event, I don't think I'd be able to make it, but I will probably be heading down to Kerwin's on Friday night to pick up a pre-release kit. I know they're not holding an in-person pre-release yet because their in-store events don't open until June 28th. So circle your calendars for that day, folks.
Well, that means I think you and I've got it almost assured from my wife that July 2nd would be the first Friday Night Magic after that. Mm-hmm. I think I'm in. So I know it's July 4th weekend. But I think if you're in, I'm in. So
I and she knows, like, my wife knew that. I'm like, the date's in. So that first Friday I'm there. She's like, "Oh, absolutely, go for it."
Yeah, and I don't know if we're going to try to broadcast or not. I kind of want to play, but I'm
bringing decks.
It's such an event, though. Part of me does want to broadcast something.
Yeah, I'm totally cool with broadcasting, but I'm bringing decks just in case.
You're right. I mean, you and I could just sit there and play and be like, we're not a part of things. But yeah, no. I definitely, we're looking forward to that. I got to talk to Steve and see what they would want us to do, if anything. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. And it's definitely going to be, to go into upkeep. That's going to be what we're talking about tonight. We're leading off with the fact that Kerwin's is coming back. It kind of makes me feel like we should talk about it, even though we've kind of mentioned it a little bit. The return of in-store play. As COVID has started moving its way out of this country and stuff, what is this going to look like? What's the shape of it? I know you spoke to Steve. I wanted to get him in tonight, and I don't think he got back to me. I think he's probably slamming busy. I know he's on vacation last week. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to pivot to the Strixhaven Championship, because there were some interesting things that happened there. Nothing bad for once. As far as I know, there were no hiccups this time.
I think the only thing that I can recall happening, I mean, because it's not even big enough to save. I think Autumn Burchett, like, her internet went out during one of the matches. Right. She got a game loss for that.
Well, that's
because obviously she wasn't connected, and Arena doesn't care because he's got timers.
Right.
But that was something on her end.
Yeah,
or their end. I'm sorry.
And way to misgender. No. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
See, that's why I would be like, okay, it went out on my computer. I wonder if they don't let them do it on mobile, because they might have to have the camera. That'd be interesting. Because I mean, what I've done in the past is, like, if my internet farts out, I'm like, phone, motherfucker, quick, get on. All right, I'm in. All right, and I start trying to work on the computer. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Strixhaven Championship. Then we're going to have a combat leading from that. In that, I really would like to know what, if any, cards we feel needs to be banned in Historic. And I'd love for you guys to chime in on that. You can go to any one of our channels out there, Twitch, Facebook, comment, and it'll show up on the screen. Main 2. Some news came out just today, so we get to do some breaking news today. About Universes Beyond. And now, breaking news. So they came out with some Universes Beyond and Secret Lair stuff we're going to talk about, because I think we're going to have some opinions. And then talk about the historic brawl changes they announced this week. And, we'll get into some State of Standard. But, I mean, where Modern Horizons is happening, but again, we're kind of a Standard podcast, and there's enough Standard news this week. I think we're going to kind of angle ourselves toward that, but I'm sure it'll come up in some way or some form.
Well, it'll come up right now. Can you say the name of the chef?
No.
Asmarano Mardiga Dason Akaldakar. You're welcome.
Yeah, folks, that's why I took the time to download that particular soundbite. That and my new favorite soundbite. That and my
got
other
free
new
stuff.
Yeah.
I
That
got
and my
free
other
stuff
new favorite
for saying
thing.
the name.
That and my other new soundbite.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Still funny. All right, so let's get into main phase where we do it live.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
All right, welcome to main phase. So we wanted to start off tonight with, not to bury the lead, but it came out last week. Steve put something up, I think, after he got back from his second or 12th honeymoon. I forget how many years it's been. But I know he and his wife went to a lovely place. They posted pictures. It was beautiful. Where they announced, Kerwin's finally was able to announce, and we've kind of known about this. We had some kind of unofficial word a few weeks ago, but we couldn't talk about it. Kerwin's is coming back June 28th. So that's a Monday. They're going to start their week of, events in both stores. And then obviously culminating in Friday Night Magic. Now, they're not sure yet when they're going to get larger events. Steve in his press release talked about the at least awesomely covered modern tournament they had last year. I forget who covered it, but I got to tell you, those people that were doing that.
Couple of jerks.
Yeah. Well, especially the dude with the beard. He was attractive. People dig him. They like the beard. So, yeah. So, he hasn't, they haven't come through yet about when that's going to happen. But I kind of want to talk a little bit about what we think then, what has COVID done? All right. Now that we're coming to the end of this, how do we think in-store play should, could, will change? I mean, obviously, Wizards has come out with some of their information. New York State has pretty much, they're this close to basically allowing us to go back to licking doorknobs. And so, what do we think in-store play should look like?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's going to depend on when the restrictions are lifted. Right now, they're still in place to some degree.
Well, Cuomo said he'll lift them all when we hit 70% vax.
Yeah, we're 1.4% away from that. We're close.
Yeah,
we're
it's going to be in a week or two.
We're,
no problem.
We're super close to getting those lifted. But with that in mind, there are some places who have events now.
Right.
Flights 2, for example.
Underground. Well, now they can talk about it. Yeah, Flights 2. Now it's legal.
It's not really. It's not a secret anymore.
No. And by the way, let me interrupt you. One thought, Dave. Thank you very much for last week. I did speak to Dave. I did get into their store this week. We really appreciate the show you gave us 2 weeks ago. A lot of people talking about it. Again, wanted to just say thank you to that. All right, continue.
Yeah, I gotta get down there and take a look at that place.
Oh, dude, you'll go nuts. I'm gonna make one recommendation to you right now. Do not take your wallet. Just don't do it. Or if you do, take cash. Leave all the plastic at home. Because, damn.
But
go on.
Yeah, so I was basically saying the stores that are running events now, they don't have to run them like speakeasies anymore. They can basically be like, yeah, we're running events, just whatever. My thought is that once the restrictions should be lifted, I mean, it was kind of always around Kerwin's to begin with, but nobody ever really paid attention to it. They had hand sanitizer at various little spots around the store.
Right.
I would not be surprised if that became something that just showed up at every table.
Right.
Which, it's innocuous. It's right there. If you want, just a little squirt and you're good.
Well, if they're going to do that, please, stores, get the good stuff. Do not get that New York stuff that when you spray it, it goes 6 feet. It's all water and it gets on the cards. I actually think that could be a problem.
That could be a huge problem. I mean, the first time somebody does that and it goes all over somebody's CEDH deck, it's gonna be a bad time.
Yeah. Go on. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I would be, hand sanitizer stations, maybe not necessarily at the tables, but at various spots throughout the store. They may be like, listen, ask permission before you touch someone's cards, which you should be doing anyway.
I think I would go so far as to say, I know it's a Magic rule, but maybe it's one that during this time should be revisited. I was just about to say that, is that I kind of feel that you shouldn't be touching other people's cards at all. It just, they can hold it up. They can show you. You can read it. And if you want to, or if you're going to touch it, say, then it's can I have permission to touch your cards? I get that you have to check it for, are you proxying? Is there like, did you print a printout over top of a card? Did you, something? I get it.
Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing. COVID's kind of, it's out there. It's not as prevalent. But I think what COVID kind of taught us and what we should really take from this is not so much just COVID, but overall, like, it's important that, we do things like the basics, like washing your hands when you touch and, do anything. But also things like that, like, touching other people's cards. I mean, I really had a problem with some of the stores out there that during the pandemic and during the height of the pandemic ran drafts. That was where I was like, there is absolutely no way for you to run a draft safely. You're touching cards, you're taking a card, and you're handing them to somebody else. Like a sealed event I could get behind. I'm opening the sealed cards, I'm putting them in my own sleeves, and again, you don't have to touch them. I did. I even said it to a store that was running one. I'm like, I don't know how you guys do it. I wouldn't feel comfortable playing a draft. I'm not sure even now I would feel comfortable playing a draft. I won't be until 4 weeks when my wife is, in 2 weeks, she gets her second, and then 2 weeks after that. So, then I might consider it. But even right now, I won't touch a draft.
Yeah. The good thing is that with where we are, the fact that people are getting, I mean, the numbers are dropping as far as people getting shots. But we've gotten a decent amount of people that have gotten shots. If we keep getting people vaccinated, and like I said, the restrictions will be lifted very soon. I'm glad to see that we probably won't need like plexiglass partitions between the playing areas. We won't have to worry about things like that, because if most people are vaccinated, then they said even if you do happen to get sick, your chance of transmitting the disease gets reduced dramatically. So it's good to see that we're starting to turn the corner. We're not at the point yet where we can completely let our guard down. I don't think we're going to be there for a little while longer yet.
I would agree with that.
But things are looking up finally. The fact that things are opening back up, it's really good to see. I'm looking forward to finally going and actually playing Magic across the table from someone and not having to worry about, is my camera in focus? Right.
And I mean, that's the thing too, is that there are some that feel, and I might actually be one of them. I still kind of think last summer we could have loosened up a little. They still could have. I mean, because this thing, at the end of the day, COVID is a cold. Like, it's an infection. It's a cold. Granted, there are summer colds. You can get a cold in the summer months. But it really needs cold air, dry air to be transmitted.
That wasn't the case with this, though.
Yeah, and that's just
we had a huge surge in the middle of summer.
Right. So I'm going to be very interesting to see what happens. I mean, I'm loving the fact we're vaccinated. I can't wait to go play. So the Friday Night Magic, then. Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Commander or Standard?
If you had talked to me before the pandemic started, I would have said Standard. I would have said Standard, hands down. Now it's a serious question. Now I really enjoy Commander. I really like...
And we've never played in person. We've never played paper. You haven't played paper in person since Glenmont.
Yeah, paper. Well,
and around your table maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as far as Commander goes.
Yeah.
Trying to think if I played anywhere else. No, yeah. Glenmont was the only place that I played Commander. But now to me, it's the last year has kind of dimmed, especially with the way organized play was. The last year and a half have dimmed the competitive fire a little bit. I'm hoping that once events start to fire again, and we have a new organized play system, which might not be until next year or the year after.
Right. Well, yeah.
I'm hoping to see what happens at that point. I would love to be able to get back into that aspect of it. So right now, I would say I'm like leaning like 70-30 towards bringing Commander that first Friday night.
I probably will too. I mean, it's tough for me because it's such a long distance. Like, I need to find out like how long those games roll. Like, if the games don't end till 11:30 midnight, well, that means I'm not getting home till 2. I mean, and granted, I can do that, but I ain't 20 no more. Like,
listen, Pop an energy drink, you'll be fine.
No, I'm diabetic. It actually goes the other way, and I start to want to sleep.
They have sugar-free versions. That's not an excuse.
But yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting idea. I think if I did, I mean, what are you gonna play? Are you gonna play? You're gonna play. You're gonna play him, aren't you?
Sakama?
Yeah.
I would bring it. I'm not sure I would play it.
I'd probably play Omnath, I think, or Calamax. Like those are the two that I'm kind of really working on these days.
I mean, honestly, I like the way the Fire Song and Sunspeaker deck worked. I might play that. I might play Traxos.
Yeah.
I wouldn't roll in with Athreos the first week. I'd want to see what the tables are like first.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's just it. I think no matter what, my Omnath deck just works. But you're not wrong. I might probably do that. It depends on whatever you play, I'll play. I don't even know that I have a standard paper deck.
I don't right now.
So I'd have to honestly, I'd have to put it together.
Yeah, because think about it. Why would you have had a paper standard deck? There's no paper standard events.
We have our first bot. Hello, bot.
Want to become famous? Buy, follow. Oh, another one. Unless he's copy paster. Buy followers, primes, and viewers on. Don't click on the website link.
Add to block list. Off the screen.
Bots.
And I love that they go away on the main screen too. And now I'll have to go to Twitch and take care of that, but I will.
Yeah, moderator killed that. But yeah, it will, regardless of what we end up playing, it will be nice again to sit across the table from you and play against you in person.
Because you and I'll end up seated against each other because it always happens. Because you and I'll end up. Oh wait, now I'm echoing. Hold on. Always happens.
It's usually a good time when it does.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think I might be up on Friday nights.
And as far as Commander goes too, it's a much more level playing field.
It really is. Yeah, because I mean, you know me. If I was playing Standard, you know what I'm rolling in with.
Yeah, you're going with mono red.
Yeah, I always go with mono red.
Yeah. Probably, if I was going to build a Standard deck right now, I would probably build Sultai Ultimatum because
it's your style.
Format.
Or I could see you doing Esper Foretold.
I wouldn't do that. I think I'm off of Esper for now.
Really?
I don't think it doesn't have the chops right now. I don't think there's other decks out there that do what it wants to do better.
True. Now, how the hell do I'm actually in our Twitch and I'm trying very hard to. Oh, they've already want to become famous. Yeah, I added that last month. What the hell? Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to block that. All right. But moving on. Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd want to see them do from this?
Well, it's gonna be nice because timing-wise, because again, they have the new matchmaking software, so you don't have to all crowd around a pole or a wall to see where your pairings are. You can just check your phone and just go right to your table. So that's a nice coincidence to have that ready to go. It was ready to go before the pandemic. It'll be a nice improvement. Just I think now that we're turning the corner, keeping certain things in place just to give you that extra layer of protection, the just in case factor, I think that's where they need to go. Like I said, hand sanitizers, like you said, asking permission before you touch cards. I don't know that if it's too soon for drafting. I mean, maybe if they instruct all the players to wash their hands or sanitize before the draft starts.
Yeah.
Just to make sure extra level of protection. I don't think anybody needs to roll in with masks. I don't think anybody needs to roll in with things like that unless you're not vaccinated, in which case, get your shot. I mean, I understand the hesitation for some folks, but it's better in the long run, I think, just to get the shot and get the immunity.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I mean, for some people, it's a choice, personal. Sometimes it's health related. I'm not going to sign up for that. I did, but it was the right choice for me. I'll back anyone's choice, obviously, in life.
Yeah, I'm not gonna shame anybody who doesn't get the shot. I think it's a good thing, and I think you should get it. But if you don't, okay.
Damn it! I should have had that Game of Thrones soundbite. Shame. Ding ding. Yeah. Anyway, never mind. All right. Yeah. So I definitely think that too. let's kind of pivot off of that. Still in the main one. The Strixhaven Championship happened this week. Now, first of all, again, I can't wait till we have paper, like, big events again. Like, please, soon.
That's a little ways off still.
I
but
know
yeah.
it is. But, I mean, just...
I'm with you.
Yeah. Like, again, there's something to watching. Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's because that's how I used to do it. That's how I've always done it. Is like there's something to watching, you know, a paper matchup, even streamed on Twitch. I think it's a lot easier to see misplays. It's a lot easier to see mistriggers and things like that. Things that are actually, that happen. Like, I do believe, like, I think this online play, it's going to make us bad. It's going to make us not as good Magic players because having to remember things like a trigger, having to remember things like, you know, yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing. But the Strixhaven Championship just happened. And again, it's still kind of funny because it's like, you know, yes, we know that this league is going nowhere, but okay, sure, glad you're here. But, you know, it was interesting to see the weekend. I mean, the standard portion, there were changes. Like, you can consider this a state of standard if you'd like. But there were some significant changes in decks. It wasn't a field of rogues and mono red and cycling. It was, you know, one of the things that a lot of people were talking about is the 60% win rate on Jeskai Mutate.
Yeah, that deck kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, somebody's going to find a way to break it. Somebody will find a way to stop it. I mean, it's beatable. It's just not, nobody's programmed for it yet. But that deck is, there's an infinite combo, isn't there?
There is an infinite combo. I have to see if I can find the article that talks about it. But there is an infinite combo with that deck. See if I can find that right now. But I know that it's a blast to watch.
Oh yeah, I mean it was fun to watch. I only watched a very little bit again because I had to go to my sister's Saturday, so you know I watched as much as I could. But yeah, Jeskai Mutate and Is It Dragons, basically taking the Prismari, Galazeth Prismari, dropping him with Bonecrusher Giant, Brazen Burrow, and Goldspan Dragon, and going to town. Hell yeah. Like, that's a pretty decent deck. Actually, I think it's Lord Drakus, not. But yeah, like, interesting deck. A lot of fun to watch. Naya Adventures kind of came creeping back up a little bit. Dimir Rogues is kind of taking a small tumble. Mono Red's taking a tumble. Mono Red's struggling against a few of the higher up decks. Not so much Sultai Control. Again, it's too fast. But Prismari and Gruul Midrange actually has a grand old time with Mono Red.
So I found the combo.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's a 5-card combo.
Okay.
It involves Goldspan Dragon, Lord Drakus, Vadrock Apex of Thunder, Prismari Command, and Unsubstantiate.
Yes.
So here's the possibility. It's infinite damage. You cast Goldspan Dragon, so that you've spent 5 mana.
Right.
You then mutate Vadrock onto the Goldspan Dragon, which creates a treasure because it's getting targeted.
So for 4.
So you've got 2 extra mana there because the treasure's tapped for 2.
Right.
With Goldspan Dragon. With the mutate trigger, you cast Prismari Command from the graveyard for free to create a treasure and deal 2 damage to the dragon. You get 4. You're up 4 mana at that point. You then mutate Lord Drakus onto Goldspan Dragon for free because you're targeting the dragon and it creates a treasure. And then you put 2 mutate triggers on the stack. One of them returns Unsubstantiate from your graveyard to your hand. The other one casts Prismari Command from the graveyard. And then you have to make sure that the Lord Drakus's trigger, which returns the Unsubstantiate to your hand, you have to make sure that trigger resolves first. Then with the Prismari Command, you create another treasure token and deal 2 more damage to the dragon. That's another 4 mana. But in response to that, because you can't let it resolve because your creature would die, you sacrifice all the treasures, cast Unsubstantiate for free because targeting the dragon creates another treasure, return the stack of 3 creatures to your hand. Every
And
time you do a loop, it does 1 mana. So it eventually generates infinite mana. Once you have infinite mana, you do the unsubstantiate loop, but this time now you're shocking your opponent with the Prismari command every time. It turns infinite mana into infinite damage, and I can't imagine anybody figuring this out without Arena.
wow.
It's insane, but it's so much fun to watch.
Okay, you know what? If we were going to stream Arena, that would be something to try. Yeah, I think Spikefield Hazard helps a little bit in that too. But yeah, it's yeah,
That's a lot. That's a lot of moving parts, but it's
a lot of
a
moving
thing.
parts. Yep.
It's a thing that you can do. And yeah, like I said, I think the only reason that it's played right now is because Arena and
Yeah.
it handles the triggers for you.
I mean, it because it's a 5 card. I mean, it, you know, what's the Torment's Crypt? All right, great. I'm gonna exile your graveyard now. You know,
Yeah, but- I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of instant speed interaction, but it's
right.
like it's one of those things. Like once you do it once, you can sort of like shorthand saying, "I'm just going to do what I just did."
In
million
paper,
times.
I gotta imagine in Arena though, you could start timing out.
Yeah, you have to because they're talking about it more, saying you need to execute all the steps correctly, stack the triggers in the correct order, hold full control, sacrificing your treasures for mana before you bounce your dragons, and it's just like you're moving all these parts around, and then eventually your little timer starts to tick down, and
I hate the timer. But yeah, so that was something. So we did see a little bit that way. Jeskai Cycling kind of hung around. But it was pretty much, yeah. And then really the reason we wanted to kind of talk about tonight, we're going to pivot off of Standard a little bit. Historic. Yeah. Historic might have some problems.
Historic is the format of Izzet and Jeskai.
Yeah, it's Historic. Actually, I'm just gonna say it. Historic is the format of blue. Yeah, you could ban. You can ban. We'll talk about this in combat. You can ban Brainstorm. Sure, it's not gonna shut these decks off, but yeah.
I mean, you should be happy. Your favorite deck from that old Standard, Izzet Phoenix, is back on top.
I love Phoenix. It's weird. It's not. I mean, it's on top, but it's only because MTG Goldfish's thing isn't doing what it's supposed to do. Because the biggest deck this weekend was Jeskai Turns. That thing. I mean, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, it must play that 7-drop." You know, what the hell is it that just came out in Strixhaven that gives them an extra turn?
Lorehold.
Yeah, no, the other one.
Oh no. Oh,
the Strixhaven 1/7. It's or. Might
from
even
Call
be,
Time. You're talking about Alrund's Epiphany?
Call Time. Yeah, Epiphany there. So, like, I'm like, it must play that. Nope, too slow.
Yeah, why play that when you have Time Warp?
Yeah, you have Time Warp and Mizzix's and Magma Opus. It's kind of that 3 kind of, yeah, it's ridiculous. So, and then you have Velomachus Morehold kind of just helping you do stuff, but it's pretty much you can go for some infinite turns, and really your game ender, believe it or not, is Shark Typhoon of all things.
Because every time you're casting those spells, you're getting sharks.
Yeah. So I mean, it's what was that? 5 of 8 was Jeskai Turns, and the other one
5 out of the 8, yeah.
And then the other one was Jeskai Control. Like it's
and then the other 2 decks were Izzet Phoenix.
Yeah. So I mean, Niv Mizzet, 5-color Mizzet made a showing. It did. But I mean, it's hard to beat and I mean, even the final there that, who was it that won?
Sam Pardee, I think it was.
Yeah, Sam Pardee. I mean, Sam and, I got the name here, John Giraudoux, it's French, were the guys who played in the finals, and it was practically a mirror match. And it basically you're racing. And I don't know how good it is. I think I'm not sure if the problem is what they've put into the mystical archives, and dear God, keep those coming. If it was or if
you think about it, I mean, the Jeskai turns playing 4 cards out of the archive.
Yeah, and then the 4 cards out of Strixhaven too, like Lorehold. It's playing the
Expressive Iteration.
Yeah.
And then well, that's it. And Prismatic Command.
Yeah, it's like it's doing some stuff. The fact is, I'm looking at this and I can't help thinking, and this is going to lead us into combat. In that, is it that or is it like? Granted, Lightning Bolt. I would love to. Would Lightning Bolt have helped here? Having a 1-drop. Actually, I think it would end games quicker. They might have been right to not give us Lightning Bolt. But it is going to kind of lead us into combat because, there's a problem, I think. If this was standard, like, everybody be calling for bans. Like, in a big tournament like this where it's, the championship, quote unquote, for the set. Like, in fact, let's just get into it because,
Combat phase.
So, the combat phase tonight is kind of based off Strixhaven because I'm posing the question, so Aramis will answer first. Like, what, if any, cards do we feel need to be banned right now in Historic? Like, is it time? And that's just it. Historic being an arena, don't forget, it doesn't necessarily have to be banned. They can do a suspend because they have that option.
Yes.
But, so what do we feel? How are you feeling about that?
Given that this Historic format was kind of in a unique spot going into the tournament because they had just banned Thassa's Oracle.
Right.
And Historic Anthology 5 and Strixhaven had basically just come out. They haven't been out that long. This Historic metagame is still pretty new. Yeah, Brainstorm's in a lot of the deck. Basically, if you were playing Brainstorm, you were winning your games. If you weren't playing Brainstorm, you weren't.
Which, I get it kind of because it does do a little bit of deck fixing, but
it's not as good as it is in like Legacy and Vintage because you don't have the fetch lands to shuffle garbage to the bottom of your deck.
Like that's just it. I'm okay with Brainstorm being in this format.
You can Brainstorm lock yourself.
Yeah.
I don't think anything needs to be suspended or banned right now. I think things are still a little too fluid. Yeah, the Izzet deck, the Jeskai decks had a very, very powerful showing, but there were other decks out there with very good win rates. I think it was hard too because it's with this tournament they're playing 2 formats, so your record is going to be a little bit skewed because you might have done really, really poorly in Standard and really good in Historic, or vice versa, and that determined where your standing was,
right,
and who you were playing. If you did poorly in Standard, in your Historic bracket, you might be playing against people who maybe you have good matchups against them just because their decks are bad or they're not having a good time either. So right. I think we need to see a strictly Historic format tournament to really sort of see how things shake out, because multi-format tournament, it kind of skews the results a little bit. So it's hard for me to come out and say, yeah, we got to ban something. I do think that Brainstorm and a couple of the other cards deserve some watching. Keep an eye on them. Right. But I think it's too soon to pull the trigger because they're not breaking things the way Omnath
Suspend is go ahead and pull the trigger. We can pull it back at any time. Like, yeah, it's not like a ban. I'm going to tell you, we finally have a combat. I disagree. Yeah. I think 100%. And I'll tell you the card I think it should be. I think Time Warp. Because I think because you're not going to ban Velomachus Lorehold in Historic. The problem with Time Warp is the cost. The cost is 5, which means Velomachus Lorehold lets you bring it out.
Velomachus Lorehold.
Oh wait, it's also going to let you bring out Alrund's Epiphany though too, and they'll just swap it with that. You're not wrong.
Yeah. I don't think Time Warp's the problem.
I think Time Warp is the problem. I think because of the churn function.
Yeah, but that's just the one deck.
Yeah, but it was 5 out of 8. It was, I saw some sort of graphic during the final they had it. It was like in 40% of the decks.
Well, But
you know,
again, like I said,
yeah.
it's a little bit skewed because you're playing different. You're playing two formats, and that sort of has an influence on what decks you're going to see when you move to the other format.
And I do think that I don't think they should be playing the championships in historic, or since it's a best of 3 matches, it should be 1 game historic, 1 game standard, and if there's a game 3 match, that goes to historic. Like, I think they should. There's no reason inside of Arena that they don't do that. I think there is some value with what you're saying as far as, they know that they just have to make a standard deck that can hang. It doesn't have to win, but if it's game 2 of the final, that's going to change it up just a little bit because you're not going to necessarily choose just a deck that's going to, get you into the top 8. You're going to want something that could beat something else.
Either way, I think we're both pretty in agreement when I say I can't wait for an event that's not standard or historic.
Yeah.
Give me something in modern.
I'm going to put it out there right now. They will do a Commander event. They're going to.
I don't think so.
Oh.
Commander's a 4-player format.
Yep, and I think they're going to do it. I think they're going to find a way to do it. They call them Commander Fests, but I could see them putting coverage on it. Because they're throwing so much at it. It's a corporate decision. They're going to be like, well, if everybody's playing Commander, why isn't our coverage Commander?
Because it's not competitive.
They'll make it. That's just it. They'll make it competitive.
Yeah, no, I don't think they'd go that
Historic
far.
wasn't meant to be competitive. Historic wasn't meant to be competitive.
Yes, it was.
Historic was meant to be a way for us to play our old cards.
Yeah, it's an eternal format.
Well, I think personally that they absolutely should start banning a few things. I do think, I definitely think something like maybe Mizzix's Mastery.
No.
It's a 4-drop that can be overloaded for 8 in a ramp.
If they were gonna do anything, it would be Brainstorm or Faithless Looting.
Yeah, I don't know why they're always hitting Faithless Looting. I love Faithless Looting so much.
Faithless Looting's a really good card.
It's so good. I don't think they should hit Brainstorm either. I love Brainstorm. All right, well, let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Does this deck work? Just Guy turns. Say they want to get rid of it. Does it work if they suspend Velomachus Lorehold? Does that make the deck fair? Because that's the problem.
I don't know because there's only 2 copies in the deck.
Well, yeah, but there's 2 copies in the deck, but you have a way to recur a whole ton of shit.
But that's the thing is like if that was such a linchpin to the deck, there would be 3 copies to guarantee that you're going to see one. I mean, granted, you're taking a bunch of extra turns anyway to have more chances at it, and there is a decent amount of card draw and selection and looking through your library to get to it. I think that's not.
But we banned Nexus
kind of
of Fate,
payoff.
and I understand we banned Nexus of Fate because it doesn't exile. I understand that that's part of it. But, you look at this and you say, well, why did we ban Nexus of Fate? Well, we banned Nexus of Fate because everybody started playing fucking Solitaire. And these decks lend themselves to playing Solitaire. They become less fun. They become less,
This one's not quite in the same vein as the Turbofog decks because it has a win condition. That was part of the problem with Turbofog.
True.
Was that I'm going to stall until I have infinite turns and or Teferi Emblem and just exile everything on your side of the board and then maybe kill you with a 1/1 over the course of 20 turns or just deck you.
Right.
They don't really have a win condition. Velomachus Lorehold's a 5/5 flying vigilance haste. That will end the turn.
Jonathan's saying, listen, y'all. All right, we're listening, Jonathan.
Jonathan's got something to say.
Yeah.
I mean, and if nothing else, shark type when you're going to start getting flying sharks, and it'll end the game very quickly. So in that respect, it's a little more tolerable.
Yeah, because they named Cauldron Familiar because it causes too many triggers. You're not wrong.
Yeah, and I think also, too, when they banned Cauldron Familiar, they said there was stuff coming that would work too well with it. I don't remember what it would have been.
Oh,
but I guess there were some graveyard shenanigans that came up after when they banned it, that would have synergized really well with the cat.
Listen, even now I'm seeing BGX sacrifice a ton. I'm seeing a ton of Rakdos sacrifice. Croxa. I'm seeing, because I play a lot of mono red still when I'm laddering, and
Yeah, but does that keep best of 1 or best of 3?
best of 3.
Yeah, because Marduk's sacrifice was a very small.
Extos, the Awaken the Blood avatar is a pain in the ass. There's some stuff out there. Taking 100 turns and going infinite with a slow ass fuck 5-card combo can't fly either. I like Jonathan's
that 5-card
point.
combo's in standard, but
Yeah,
I know where you're
that's
coming
Jeskai
from.
Mutate.
Yeah, but
wow. Hashtag
Jeskai...
Cauldron Familiar did nothing wrong.
Somebody's got a little bit of salt there.
Yeah, he's a little. Did you just buy Cauldron Familiar the 2 days before it got banned? I hate it when.
Well, luckily they were uncommons.
Yeah. I do think that there should be some banning in there. Oh, no, again, I shouldn't say banning. I should say suspending, because the whole point of suspending is we're going to suspend these cards, see what happens. I think you can't have a 5 out of top 8 same deck archetype. Well, no, I'm going to say 6 out of 8 archetype. And pretty much 8 out of 8 archetype, because they're all is it. Something's wrong and is it. Or whatever you want to call it. Is it, or whatever the other word is there.
Prismari.
Yeah, Prismari. Like, at the end of the day, we got problems right here in River City.
Yeah, they're saying decks playing Brainstorm featured a win rate of 57% against decks without the card.
Yeah.
So I mean, Brainstorm is the key to a lot of it. The thing about it, it's hard with Brainstorm because again, the way you really abuse it is through library manipulation and putting the cards that you end up putting on top of your deck, getting rid of them somehow. That's
right.
Really how Brainstorm gets broken, because that sort of turns it as close as you can get to Ancestral Recall.
Exactly.
I mean, I could be convinced about a suspension possibly for Brainstorm.
That I would say Brainstorm and Time Warp. I would. And now I know that means they're going to play Alrund's Epiphany. But then again, with Alrund's Epiphany, half the time you might be foretelling it. And if you're foretelling it, you can't pull it if you grab a Velomachus Lorehold. You're not going to play that right away.
It does make it cheaper if you foretell it, though.
Yeah, it makes it somewhat cheaper, but it also makes it, if it's foretold, it also, if you are playing blue, the minute I see something foretold, I'm like, okay, if I've got blue, I'm like, okay, I need to save. I'm going to have to counter something. And 9 times out of 10, it's a non-creature spell. So negate, whatever the other one is there.
Disdainful Stroke would be a good one.
Mystical Dispute, Disdainful Stroke, something. I can get behind Alrund's Epiphany because of the foretell mechanic kind of broadcasting something crazy is about to come my way.
I mean, I guess I'll say this. Jeskai Turns had an incredible turn.
It did. And I think it'll get stopped. But I don't know that there's anything inside. I don't know that there's anything inside Historic right now that can stop it.
Maybe not. I think we need to give it a little more time before we decide if something would need to get suspended. A couple more weeks, I would say.
Well,
at
listeners,
least, to see how things
let
play
us know
out.
what you think. You can email the show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get to main 2 because we're sitting at about 52 minutes here. So we'll go back to main phase.
Main phase.
Okay, main phase 2 here. And my stupid thing is, I gotta really figure out something new with that. Okay, main phase 2 here. There's been a few things that happened today. The biggest news that came out today, this is real breaking news type of stuff. So,
And now, breaking news.
So, what happened was earlier today, Wizards in their infinite or infinitesimal, I'll let you be the judge, wisdom, they put out a new article on their magic.wizards.com article page where they talk about And the title of the article is, and this is automatically like the minute I read the title, I'm like, oh, shit. And the title of the article is Secret Lair Universes Beyond Update. And long story short, just as we all kind of suspected after The Walking Dead, Wizards is basically telling us that, hey, with these Universes Beyond titles, we are going to make uniquely mechanical cards, much like Walking Dead was. Cards that are unique to these Universal Beyonds. And the only way to get them early is through Secret Lair. But we are going to create and print versions of the mechanically unique Secret Lair Universes Beyond cards that are set in Magic's multiverse approximately 6 months later. Yep. So, but hey, the in Magic versions will also be available on the list, findable in set boosters, because again, we love set boosters.
Do it live. Do it live. I can. All right. Do it.
I just. But they'll appear on the list more frequently than other cards to make them easier to find, so long as you buy a set booster box, which is somewhat more expensive. I cannot wait till the professor puts this video out. I cannot wait.
You know this is coming.
This is going to be epic. And they're saying also that these cards will be considered equivalent game pieces, meaning you can only play 4 copies or 1 copy of either the Magic version or the Universes Beyond version in your deck. So we were right? Like, it's now sounding like Universes Beyond is now Secret Lair exclusive?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. They're still doing Warhammer Commander decks.
Right.
They're still doing a Lord of the Rings expansion.
Okay. But for the most part.
Well, I don't know if it's for the most part, but I think they're saying in addition to. And here's my initial reaction to it. I went for the positive side first.
Oh, well, that's because you're very nice, and
I'm not really.
Just you're actually the more cynical of the two of us.
Yeah, I'm really not.
Yeah, I'm kind of actually surprised you went that way, but go on.
Yeah, so my thought was that they're kind of trying to meet in the middle from the Walking Dead cards and the Godzilla cards in Ikoria. They're kind of trying to go to the middle there.
To edge out the LGSs. Never mind that. Go on.
But I'm not done.
Okay.
So that they're saying, listen, if you want to have an Iron Man card, you can have an Iron Man card. If you want to have a card that does the same thing as that Iron Man card, but it's actually a Magic character, you can do that too. Sort of like how there's, Space Godzilla, Death Corona, and then whatever the other one's called, Void Beckoner.
So you think
Ikoria.
we'll see a Negan card sooner than later then?
They said they're not doing it with the Walking Dead cards. Those are going to stay the way they are. But that's what they're trying to do. However, that's where my positive end reaction ends, because like Wizards always does, they screwed the pooch on the delivery. Mm-hmm. Putting them as list cards in set boosters limits accessibility. So you will still have to pay a premium if you don't want the Secret Lair versions, and you want to either buy the singles, which you should, because your chances of opening them in a set booster pack are going to be low, or you might open a really crappy common from Rivals of Ixalan.
Oh, I didn't even read that right. Holy shit! So the
only
Secret Lair version is not going to be what's in the set boosters. That's how they're going to put the in Magic version.
That's how they're going to put the regular version. So, like I said,
they
were
I'm
trying
sorry.
to get to they were trying to get to the middle, and that's where I appreciate the effort. Yeah. So that's where I think they were trying to go, saying that, listen, you can have it both ways. We'll let you have it both ways, which is a great idea. I like that idea. The execution is garbage, because if you're going to do that, just make them regular cards in the set.
Yeah.
You know, design the cards so they have to be mythics. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Hell,
doing it
make
that
it
way
so
just
that the
makes it mean you gotta
Secret
spend more
Lair
money.
cards, okay, if you buy the Secret Lair card, okay, it's not standard legal yet. And it's almost like a preview. It's like in 6 months, these will be standard legal. These are going to be, so this will give you an idea of what's probably coming in that set. It might actually encourage people to buy those sets. That I can get behind. Like, I think that would actually be fantastic.
But they should not have been
No,
list
fuck
cards
you.
in
And
set
again, the
boosters.
explicit tag is coming. Damn it. Oh,
Yeah.
that pisses me off.
It's another example of it's a good idea, right?
That they
a
found
good
some way,
idea.
they grasped defeat from the jaws of victory. Again.
I mean, I don't know if I suppose it's better than them only showing up in collector boosters. I suppose it's better than that. They could have very well gone that route. But
Right.
putting them as list cards, I mean, does that mean there's going to be more list cards in a box? But it still means you're going to have to buy a box if you want to have a good shot at getting one.
Yeah.
And how many are going to be in the secret, each secret lair? Because it's normally between 3 to 5 cards. So, okay, what rarity are they going to be? Are they going to be any good? Because that's always a potential problem.
Right.
It's just, I don't know. It's so frustrating because you're like, you were right, you had it, Wizards, you had it. That was beautiful what you were doing. Let him, like, in the end, it still works. If you're
Right.
someone who just buys singles anyway, it still works.
Right.
If you're a whale, it still works.
Right.
The problem is going to be how many of these Magic versions are going to be in the wild, because there's going to be plenty of people who are going to say, I don't want to play Captain America in my deck. He's not a Magic character.
Right.
I want the immersion to be with the Magic multiverse. It's cool that the Captain America card's out there. Great, kudos for that. I don't want it. But if I want the Magic version, because it's a list card and it shows up maybe one in a case, I'm gonna have to pay what, $75 for it?
Right. That's just, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I'm pretty now pissed off again.
Because think about it. What if the card is on a level of, any one of the top mythics being played right now?
Right.
What if it's one of those cards that is
What if
normally
it's
gonna be,
Velamakus Lorehold, but they made it,
if it's a $15, $20, $25, $30 rare, a mythic rare, that would, show up as much as it does, but now it's showing up as a list card, which means you can easily double or triple that price. You want to pay $100 for one copy of this card, and by the way, it's so good you need 4. Poor execution again, and it sucks because this seemed like a really good idea.
So, the other thing I want to talk about, I'm going to go out of order because Historic Brawl we'll talk about in a minute. I think we both are in agreement, by the way, that this Universes Beyond thing is a horrible, horrible, horrible idea, and you should be watching for Tolarian Community College because the professor will have something fun to say.
Oh boy.
I want to talk a little bit because somebody managed to, it appears, data mine, and usually we don't talk about spoilers, but I can't not. The rebalanced historic mirror cards that Magic is going to put out, and don't kid yourself, people, this is a test. This is 100% a test of banning cards and getting them back into historic somehow by rejiggering the wording in electronic form.
Mm-hmm.
On one hand, I think that's a fantastic idea. I do. I love the thought that some of this stuff that was, obviously you guys screwed up. But on the other side of it, then there's the other side of me is like, then you better give them to us. Like, if I had 4 Agents of Treachery, I should not have to spend a wild card or buy an anthology of these cards. Like, that's going to piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody went out and data mined. So some of the cards they found, and I kind of like this. I kind of want to go through these real quick. So they're talking about Agent of Treachery and the change that they made there, because obviously the prohibitive mana cost, and for those of you who don't remember, Agent of Treachery enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. That is a 5 colorless, 2 blue. The change that it appears has been made is that the enter the battlefield ability triggers only if cast from your hand.
Yeah, where are you reading this? I want to read these two.
I found it on MTGA Zone.
Hmm.
Yeah, I meant to put that in the thing. Yeah, I remember I said, I feel like there's something else I wanted in main 2. This was it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's fantastic. Like, okay, that was the problem with Agent of Treachery, was Winota bringing it out turn 5 or turn 4.
Right.
So another card they talk about, Field of the Dead. The change is the land is now legendary and zombies enter the battlefield tapped. That's too much of a nerf, in my opinion. I'm like, that's a bit of a nerf.
Do you remember how crazy that card was?
Yeah, but you know what? Just make him come in tapped. So if I get 4 zombies coming in on this turn, bring him in tapped. There's about 65,000 board wipes in Historic. You know? There are ways to handle it.
Yeah, but the problem with that card was always the fact that you just kept getting more zombies.
Yes. Fires of Invention. What they did there, it appears, was changed it to, instead of 3 and a red, which if you don't remember, Fires of Invention basically was an enchantment that lets you cast spells only during your turn, and you can only cast 2 each turn. You cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying that cost. What they did was, and it was 1 red, 3 colorless. The change that they made here, and I don't think it was enough, 2 reds, 3 colorless. So let me get this straight. I can do a turn 5, and I can cast a 5-drop or less for free. High times, what the hell was it again? Time warp.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. That
I don't know.
I'll build a Fires deck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, are you kidding me? With all the instants and sorceries we've got going on in Jeskai right now, or even just is it? Fuck it, I'm building one. Nexus of Fate. Now the change. This is one of our favorite cards. Aramis and I have loved this card ever since it came out. 2 blue, 5 colorless. Basically, the only change they made here was, and it was the only thing that was really bad, was the card exiles itself when cast and does not shuffle itself into its owner's library. I think they could have done one without the other. I always liked the fact that if you milled my Nexus of Fate, I got to shuffle it back into my library. I don't think that was too powerful, do you? Oh, and I put the link in the docs, by the way.
I have the article open now. I think the shuffle effect was the problem. The fact that it never went to your graveyard to begin with.
Right. Well,
it was like an Eldrazi Titan.
Well, now if you cast it, it goes to exile. It was just about not shuffling itself into its owner's library. I'm like, listen, in the Dimir Rogue environment where milling is a thing, like, you know, it should shuffle itself. I mean, that was kind of like the bonus. It's not like you're going to pull it every time.
Yeah.
But
it'll eventually get to the point where your deck is nothing but Nexus of Fate.
Yeah, and then it shuts off rogues. Ha! Even better. So I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like that. Oko Thief of Crowns. Now this is going to be pretty easy how they fix this because everybody said the same thing about what was broken. They're not changing the mana cost. It's still green, blue, colorless. Mm-hmm. But they're saying the first ability gives you +1 loyalty, and the second ability now makes -2.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do.
Yeah, that makes the card that makes the card good, but not crazy.
Right.
I mean, it's just the fact that you cast it and it was basically immediately on 6th. Mm-hmm. There was no way to kill it.
None.
I mean, yes, of course, there's always a way to do it, but reasonably. I mean, most situations, once it hits 6th loyalty, you're not killing this card.
No way.
And then the second loyalty ability being a plus meant that it was protecting itself very well, and you still couldn't kill it, and nobody ever used the ultimate anyway.
No, you never did. Omnath, Locus of Creation. This one they got wrong. We'll say that right now. This one, This one they got wrong. This is what's going to run the mirror match. The change they made here, all right, when Omnath comes in, and it's a red, blue, green, white mana, so only 4 CMC or 4 MV now. And basically what it is it used to say when it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then its landfall ability is what makes Omnath ridiculous. Where whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 4 life. If it's the first time this is resolved. If it's the second, you add 4 colored mana again. So red, green, white, blue. And if it's the third time, deals 4 damage to each opponent and each planeswalker you don't control. So instead now, the Omnath is... The only change they made was scry 1 when entering the battlefield instead of drawing that card. Are you fucking kidding me?
Omnath, I mean...
Omnath's a bastard.
I mean, it's got to be the most powerful card they've printed in the last 5 years.
It really is. Well, other than Oko.
I think this beats Oko.
Oh, I don't know. That'd be interesting.
Because this could theoretically kill Oko.
Yeah.
It's one of the only things that technically could. Just because even if they elk it, you've already gotten so much value out of it.
Yeah. I mean, because here's how it works, conceivably. Okay, so you bring Omnath out on turn 5. Even. Okay, fine. Or even turn 4. You get it out.
Turn 4 and then play a land.
And then you play Fabled Passage. And, okay, so I get 4 life and the 4 mana. Play Cultivate.
And then 4 damage. And you still have mana floating.
Yes. So they went wrong on this one. I think they should have nerfed maybe the mana. The second time this ability, choose 2 colors.
Maybe 4 colorless.
Yeah. Or just choose 2. Choose 2 out of that. Choose a red or a green. You know, like I'm choosing red and white because I have a Lorehold type card in my hand. Okay.
Yeah, maybe 4. Maybe it was if it was 4 mana in any combination of 2 colors.
Right.
That way you could get white and blue.
Or 2 mana. Period. Just
or
2
mana.
mana. Yeah. I think because I think the 4 mana is a pain. I think the 4 mana is the problem in that deck.
2 mana of different colors.
Right. Because making it 2 mana takes pretty much, unless you have a mana floating, takes Cultivate out of play. Because that's the problem.
It still does enable if it was with Fabled Passage on turn 5 or later.
Yeah.
Because that land enters untapped.
Right.
But you'd have to do a little bit more building around the second trigger in order to get that to work.
Right.
But yeah, the card is so insanely. We talked about this. This card should have never been in a standard format.
No, it's a commander card. It should have been the commander deck.
This is a commander card. There's a reason that these 4 color cards are so incredibly insane.
I love this card though.
It is a very good card.
Next up, Once Upon a Time. I do agree with this. Costs 1 when it's the first spell played each game, as opposed to 0. That helps. So you put your first mana down. It doesn't change much.
It turns it into Ancient Stirrings in a sense.
Or Abundant Harvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I really can. Teferi Time Reveler. You fucked this one up, boys. Because the problem with Teferi Time Reveler is not its mana cost. It's that pesky little... It's that pesky little static ability.
Mm-hmm.
Because they changed the mana cost here to, instead of 1 colorless, white and a blue, white, 2 colorless.
Yeah, so they up the mana cost by 1, which, I mean, in that respect, sometimes adding a mana to a card is enough.
Yeah,
it's enough. It is a nerf for sure, because dropping this thing on curve is devastating.
Right.
4 mana, it still sucks a lot to be on the wrong end of it, but I think it's a little more reasonable.
Right.
It's still very strong.
It's the static ability. That's the strong of it. That's the strength.
Yeah.
I think they had to find some way to nerf it, and I don't know how you nerf it without taking it away. I don't know if you say, like, each opponent can cast spells only anytime anyone can cast a sorcery. You know, like, in other words, saying, hey, the stack has to be cleared. You know, I don't know. But it's definitely, I don't even know that they should have brought it back. Euro no longer allows you to put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. That, okay. I still think the life is good. I still think the drawing a card is good. I don't know how you draw a card and not put something down. Usually, if you're drawing a card on somebody else, on your turn, you're putting one down too.
It just means you haven't. If you draw a land and haven't played your land for turn, then you can do it.
Right.
But I like that fix.
Yeah, I do too. I like Euro. I always have. Finally,
Uro did everything. That was the problem.
Veil of Summer. They increased the mana cost to 1 and a green. Okay. It's still a freaking green counterspell.
It's still extremely powerful.
Yep. Wilderness Wreck. I understand that this is how you had to nerf it, but I would have rather they did 4, so that it basically the change they made is this: Wilderness Reclamation. If you didn't know, at the end of your end step, untap all the lands you control. Now they're changing it to untap 2 lands instead of all.
So they turn it into the
Teferi.
Yeah, the bonus ability from Teferi's Hero Dominaria is +1.
I would have rather seen them maybe say 4 lands, because then it's still the same. You paid 4 to get it out, and you have one time where you get all your one time where it's free, and the rest of the time, I don't know. It just would have been nice. And then Winota's just stupid. Now you get to look at the top 4 cards of your library instead of 6. Whatevs. But that
could be relevant.
And here's the thing, guys. This can all change. This was a data mine somebody did from the arena servers. So some of this stuff could probably change and probably will change. But I'm looking forward to that event. I might play in it. Hello? You didn't say anything.
Oh, no, I didn't have an opinion.
Oh. Well, what do you think about it? You just have no opinion, or?
I don't like the precedent that it sets, because it turns it into 2 different games.
Yeah.
If you screw up with the card when you print it initially, and you have to ban it, that's on you, Wizards. Design better cards.
Do you think they should rename them?
I think they should
online
print new versions of them.
Yeah,
if they're going to rename it, print new versions.
Yeah, or rename them, and the Agent of Treachery be like the Agent of Treacherous Actions.
Yeah, but then that means you can play 8 in your deck.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, no, because the Agent of Treachery is banned in Historic. They grabbed cards that are banned in Historic.
True.
So you do Agent of Treacherousness and Oko Thief of Crown.
I don't know. I think I would leave the Hearthstone fixes to Hearthstone.
Yeah, I know. It's a little weird. Finally here, because we are kind of running over, but that's okay. Historic Brawl. They're making some changes. Yes. I'm kind of for it. Why don't you tell everybody what the changes are?
I'm super excited for this. So the biggest gripe that people have about Brawl is that why don't they just have Commander?
Right.
Why can't they just do Commander for Arena?
And how come we the changes Planeswalkers? Never mind.
Yeah, using Planeswalkers as Commander. That's my biggest gripe about Brawl is Planeswalkers as Commanders. But anyway, what they're doing is on June 18th, the Friday Night Magic is going to be Historic Brawl. But the difference is it's going to be 100 card Historic Brawl. So it's basically going to be Commander.
Right.
Just
still
historic card pool. Still, yeah, everything's the same. Just it goes from 60 cards to 100 cards. So it's essentially playing Commander. And then from June 19th to June 25th, they're doing another one of those historic Brawl fests, and that one is also going to be 100 card Historic Brawl. They're testing it out to see how people like it. I hope people really enjoy it, because to me, being able to go to 100 cards really lets the format breathe, I think, a little more. You have more options to things you can do, and I think Historic can support it.
Right.
I'm really looking forward to this. I'm definitely going to be playing in this event, and I hope they make this a permanent thing. Of course, they should make Historic Brawl a permanent thing either way.
Yeah, the fact that Historic Brawl isn't permanent is annoying and stupid.
But maybe this holds out hope that eventually, as they expand the card pool, maybe they do just say F it, Commander, as an option. You don't have to play it,
And I mean, it won't have the card pool of Commander. Obviously, you're never gonna, it's gonna take them. You'll never have that. I don't think they'll ever have the card pool of Commander, unless they find some way to, unless they find some way to move the database from,
MTGO.
yeah.
I don't think that's possible. I think they said the two systems are completely incompatible. But, hire more coders.
Right.
I know it's not that simple, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree. All right. So with that, that's kind of our show, I think. We're about 20 minutes over, so let's get into
End step.
All right. So we're at end step, and while Aramis and I are rolling up our playmats and putting our cards back in their deck boxes, and all that stuff, we want to remind you guys that we have a Twitch channel where we stream all sorts of content. Sometimes it's Minecraft, sometimes it's DCU Online, sometimes it's Arena. It's almost always this show and Commander Craft. So what I would love you to do is just look up the PlanesTalkers podcast channel on Twitch. Give us a like and a follow there. You can also follow me at Twitch on Mindcrime73. I have started playing DC Universe Online pretty regularly there. And with the new update to Minecraft this week, I'm pretty sure I'll be playing Minecraft on there as well. So check it out there.
If you'd rather spend some time chatting with us or other people who listen to the show, or some of our patrons if they're online, go to our Discord. It's a very active community, a lot of friendly folks there, always willing to help out or start a game if you want to play a game. Go to discord.planestalkerspodcast.com to join. If Twitter is more your speed, you want to follow the show that way. We tweet when we're going live. We might do an occasional tweet about some of the other goings on in the Magic universe, and maybe even universes beyond. But oh, good God, that was such a bad idea.
Right. I don't disagree.
Anyway, go to @PlanesTalkerPod on Twitter. That's where you'll find us there.
My personal Twitter is @WRBenson. I don't tweet very often. But you can always follow us there as well as on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/planestalker and like and follow our page there. Don't forget too that this Wednesday and every Wednesday we try to do a playcast of Commander Craft where we play Commander and I drink craft beers and we play with two listeners. This week we have Ian and Aramis and I, and we're looking for one more. If you're a patron, let us know tonight in the patron channel on our Discord, or just send me an email that you want in on that. Otherwise, tomorrow I'll open it up to any listener out there. We need a fourth one to sit down, and if we get 5, well, then maybe we'll have somebody sitting for game 2. So Commander Craft is on Wednesdays. We start that at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday.
And finally, if you want to send an email to the show, maybe you have a suggestion or a comment, question for one of us about either the game itself or anything else in general, there's 3 places you can go to reach us. The main email address for the show, it's going to go to both of us if you send it there. It's podcast@planestalkerspodcast.com. If you want to send an email to one of us individually, you can send it to Will. His email address is will@planestalkerspodcast.com. If you want to send one to me, my email address is aramis@planestalkerspodcast.com.
And on that note, we don't have any iTunes reviews this week, but please leave us some. We want to thank you guys for hanging out and listening tonight to the PlanesTalkers podcast. We will be back, not next Monday, but next Thursday with another show, as well as Wednesday night for Commander Craft. Tune in then. We thank you again for letting us kind of go a little bit over, but we had a ton of information. So for Aramis Perez, this is Will Benson saying thank you very much for being listeners. Thank you for hanging out with us. And we want to remind you to always keep some of your mana untapped because you never know when you'll need it. Take care and have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. And we're out. Now we're in bonus time.
Bonus time. Let me see.
And apparently I didn't hit stop in time.
Oh, mine is
I'll
exported.
have to edit that later. Oh, I am freaking wiped, dude.
Yeah, the heat really takes it out of you.
Yeah, it really does. Lucky we got the air conditioner going in the living room and the bedroom, but being out here, it's like, oof. This room
Yeah.
gets very cold, very hot, very quickly.
I know. Yeah, same here. I can see if I can get one of those cooling fans.
Yeah, no kidding. But one that's quiet, right?
One that's quiet. Yeah, I can see if I can get like a splurge on a Dyson or something.
Oh, those are beautiful. Oh, so yes, good show tonight though. We went over, but I was like, that's way too good of stuff not to talk about. Like some of that stuff's pretty awesome.
Yeah, the Universes Beyond thing is
That's gonna be a
so
problem.
frustrating because the answer was right there. They had it, and they're like, "Oh wait, but let's do this instead." It's like, "Oh, oh."
Right? So, all right, everything's being saved and exported.
I got to see where I can pick up some Modern Horizons too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick some up myself. At some point, dude, it's just a tough time of year. It's a tough time of month. It's a tough time. You know, I gotta splurge for a hotel room. We're not gonna stay with my sister, so I actually have to get a room for 2 nights this weekend. Plus all the gas I'm gonna go through driving from here to Seneca Falls, and then from Seneca Falls to Lima, and then back to Seneca Falls, and then back to here. So, yeah. As far as I know, we should be good for next Wednesday. I might reserve the right to not do Commander Craft next week too. If just depends on how the week goes. I'll know more by Friday, but
Yeah, we'll keep it open.
well, because the old man's leaving Wednesday morning. Well, I'm going to work Wednesday, but after 5 days of no work, I may just be like, I'm wiped. But hopefully, I'd like to do the show because I love doing the show. Like Commander Craft is like becoming almost sometimes more fun than the show.
It's always better to play than just to talk.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's always been a highlight of my week, the Commander Craft show. I mean, this podcast is great, and you guys are all great.
Yes, you're amazing.
Wednesday's just fun because we just get to play and screw around.
Yep, and I get to call Aramis a bunch of names, and nobody gets mad.
Usually.
Well, you know, sometimes you get a little salty, but you know.
Yeah, that's just my competitive streak.
I always know when you get salty though, because then you're like, okay, that's it, Sakama. I'm like, fuck.
When you've gone too far.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do Omnath one more time because why not? I'm kind of still playing around with its ins and outs, so especially if I'm gonna play it for the Friday night there.
Yeah, you gotta get some practice in with it.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure what I would bring. I mean, I would bring Zakama, I would bring Traxos, I'd probably bring one other deck, maybe Firesong and Sunspeaker.
that's a good, you know, that's a good deck.
I was looking forward to playing this deck for months. I've had this deck being built for the better part of 4 months.
Yeah, so
I mean, I have all the rest of my decks that I'm building right here. This is everything else that I'm building. This is the other what, 18 are all in this box.
you're insane, dude.
All the commanders are ready. Parts of all the decks are there.
I've got to still order some for the other deck I'm building. So, slivers. Obviously, it's not going to be busted slivers. I don't have the queen, and I don't have $400.
Queen's actually
to
not
spend.
that good in the deck.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
she's like an essential piece, but really, it's the one. It's the what is it? Hive Lord, I think it is.
Right.
The one that gives them all the indestructible. That's the one that's really annoying. That one and Crystalline Sliver. You can get a Crystalline Sliver. Give them all Shroud. That was my favorite sliver growing up.
Right.
I actually drew it in high school art class.
Yeah.
I think I have it here somewhere. Where did I put all that stuff? I think I have it. Hold on one second. I gotta find it. I'll find it and show it off. It was cool. Did it with like colored pencils and things like that, and it came out pretty good. I think you should have my copy now.
Right. Of what? Yeah, I do. We got it all. We're good to go.
All right.
All right, so I'm gonna shut this down because I gotta get some sleep.
All right, guys.
Yep. So, guys, thanks for hanging, Jonathan and Gamer and Johnny. So we had Johnny, Jonathan, and Gamer, and we had
And
some
Nurse
other
too.
guys, people
Yep.
popping in and out. So,
Yep.
we will see you guys in a week and Wednesday night. And again, we have one seat left for a patron, and then starting tomorrow, I'll open it up to one more listener. So, and if we get 2 patrons, then that's all I'm going to take. You know, I'm still going to open it up to one listener for the second game and patron. You know, because you want to encourage non-patrons. I don't want to be that guy.
And there's more players is more the merrier.
Right. So, all right. I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you on Wednesday. See